it's Claire from the Computing and IT department. Just put together a short Loom video to show you how in our department we've used Quizizz to help us with our retrieval questions, both before lockdown and also during the lockdown. It's been particularly useful. If you haven't come across Quizizz before, it's here on the screen. It's a web-based application with hundreds, if not thousands, of different quizzes for all subjects. And it's been particularly useful this past year. We've used it in school a lot in our department. Like the business studies students have found it really engaging. There's been loads of different quizzes already made for their specification, which was a new spec this year. So that's been really good and useful. It's a little bit like Kahoot. However, when you do it in the classroom, it doesn't create the same hysteria as Kahoot. They're not all there on their phones going like finger fastest first or shouting out the wrong answers. What instead the students work at their own screens or on their own phones, and they get their individual questions in a random order individually. So they can't cheat, they can't look over their friend's shoulders to copy the answer. Once they've answered their question, another question automatically appears through to them. As a teacher, you get a leaderboard so you can see who's answering with the most accuracy and not just the fastest. And it's been really engaging. The pupils have really enjoyed Quizizz. As with anything, we've tried not to overuse it. But we have been using it every week or so, every couple of weeks, whilst on lockdown as retrieval. So if I click here and just show you finding a quiz. Now, we've been doing malware with year 9 computer science students. So do a quick search for malware and you can see there's thousands of quizzes. And as you hover over each one, there's a bit of a sample of the types of questions included in it to give you a bit of a flavour of that quiz before you go in. Now, once you're in the quiz, it is always worth just running down the questions here just to make sure that you're happy with them all, they're all correct and accurate, that they're hard enough, the level of difficulty in there. It's really simple, and we do add and remove questions under edit. That's quite straightforward. In the lesson, we would click play live, and the students would make a start on that in the class. However, on lockdown, because they're not all on the computers at the same time, it's harder to do a live quiz. So we've been assigning it as homework. So they can then log on and, you can give them a couple of weeks to get the quiz completed. So we can give a date of when the quiz is due. So it's really straightforward to do that. Place it for 48 hours after the lesson. A time, you can then assign it to a class. Now, this has been the game changer for us in the department because this links to your Google Classrooms. So it's so easy to log on here and assign that, for instance, to 9B. Okay, and then I could schedule it. I could write a description, might call it like retrieval questions or end of lesson quiz, or however you want to place your quiz. Whether it's a retrieval or a revision style one. And then you click next and then assign game. Now, there are some advanced options you can look at. I have mainly got mine on so they can only attempt each quiz once. Now, for us, this is where the Quizizz is better than a Google form. Firstly, you have to write to the Google forms and set them up, which takes time. And secondly, I'm always a little bit unsure with my groups over how long they're spending on their Google forms. So the retrievals were looking quite positive. But I think that we're maybe getting a little bit of help from Google or their books and their notes to answer the questions. On this, they get 30 seconds per question. So they can't get help from Google, hopefully. And you can do it so they can complete the quiz more than once, and then it simply tells you in the report, do they do it 4 or 5 times? Now, I have turned off for home learning the redemption questions, the music, and the memes. But I did leave, and they do quite like this, I did leave the power-ups. They have engaged with the power-ups. They do quite like those. So that does help, particularly the ones who need motivating a bit more. Once they've got a couple right, they get a power up and it gives them that bit of boost to keep going. So yeah, I've left that one on. Now, once they've done a quiz, it goes through into your reports. So here are all the quizzes that I've set. Sorry, it's got the Disney and music ones I've been setting to my tutor group. But the retrieval one here for week 7, you can see I did one in week 5 and I've done one again week 7. It shows me that 24 people did it, and it shows the overall accuracy. Now, they were different questions to the week retrieval question for week 5, which obviously they did better on. The week 7 ones, the retrieval questions were a little bit harder. So I can see how many students and their accuracy. I can see my leaderboard, who's the top, who's the bottom, and who didn't do it. And then overview. This is a really powerful tool that we've been using in the department, because it does clearly show us the questions which were well understood by those students. And then it also shows us the questions. I know the last couple were not answered particularly well. So I can then see where the learning need is. So it's on the physical topology and logical topologies. So I know that I need to recover that again in further lessons, and then have that question or a very similar question appear later on in the retrieval questions. There are flashcards, so it will produce you some flashcards, and the students can see in those flashcards as well. And we were getting the year 11s for every question they got wrong, they had to add that question into their personalised bank of flashcards, which they were quite like. Now, this data also appears in your mark book in Google Classroom. So when you go to Google Classroom and you go to marks, the marks they've got here under score appears in their Google Classroom. So alongside all the work that I've marked, it will also have their marks of the retrieval in that same grid. So I'm not having to duplicate any data or write it down anywhere else. It transfers it across for me. When I assign a homework from Quizizz, it automatically on the stream appears with the assignment set and says assignment retrieval question week 5 set. And that is then will also appear in classwork. So there's nothing that I would now need to go and do in Google Classroom to get this working. I just need to assign it in Quizizz and then it's done. So just thought I'd share it. Feel free to ask me any questions if I've missed anything, or you want anything explaining to you. But yeah, it's all free and the pupils do enjoy it. So yeah, good luck and hopefully it's helpful. Thank you.